Welcome.
To the joy of code.
Hello, and welcome to episode 305 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. We're going to be hacking on some Firefox stuff. It's going to be great. I'm putting the Windows jump list stuff aside for just a little bit because there's some higher priority things I want to work on. But it's going to be a great episode. We're going to do a couple of things, and I hope you find it interesting. Let's start by sharing my screen. 305, wow, says Fireglow. That's right. We're doing it. We got to 305. Let's get another 100 in the bag. Right, so it's November 2nd, 2022. It's episode 305, and a reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I don't know what's going to happen today. I'm going to try and do a couple of things. I have some things I want to try and do and talk about and review some stuff, and I have like a patch to review, like land reviewed patch, rebase, and land reviewed patch, review a patch, and then do other work. That's probably where the bulk of this episode's going to go, presuming I get past these things quickly enough. So yeah, things might go wrong. Who knows? That's the name of the game. No plan survives breakfast. You can follow along, though, in this agenda that I'm sort of like hacking on, working on. As the episode progresses, it will update automatically in the background. You can find a link to it. On YouTube, it's in the video description. On Airmozilla, it's in the details section. On Diode, it's in the video description. And on Twitch, it's in the links down below at the bottom of my channel. You'll find the most recent agenda. And if you're watching this like an old recording of this, if you're like on my website, you can find the agendas in the episode guide if you're curious about seeing a previous agenda. And the episode guide is completely viewer driven. And if you yourself want to add your own notes, addenda, corrections, expand on some of the things in the episode guide, send me a pull request to the repository. We love to merge stuff in. I say we as if I'm more than one person. I'm not. Okay. I wanted to do something real quick because I realized I could do this and I hadn't done it, which is, we've got my website here, this Joy of Coding website, and this is, I'm going to pause that so we don't open a black hole. But the Twitch chat exists. Like, there are people in the Twitch chat right now, and it's bridged to Matrix, which is what I use to talk to people. So that shared channel exists and can be embedded on this web page, and I thought we would hack that together real quick because I think it'd be pretty straightforward. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna open up Visual Studio Code because that's how I remotely edit that stuff. There's like a remote there's a whole like there's a whole like remote setup thing here where I can like edit the remote file on my system. And basically the dirty secret is that I just, every time there's a new episode, I manually edit this HTML file. It's a pretty simple page. It's not very fancy. I should probably make it something that like other people, if you're interested in making this prettier, you could make prettier. I didn't have a designer work with me on it, obviously. But I thought maybe we could put the chat in here as well as like a quick thing. Hello, Twitch chat. That's right. So how do we do that? Well, here's what I'm thinking. Let's start by experimenting a little bit on the page. I think what we've got here is, if I remember correctly, we've got this named deck, we've got these headers, and these are inside of a section, and the section is centered, and there's this button group that's below the deck, and so it's this big column. And I wonder if what we could do is put the buttons and the named deck inside of another container. Basically, I want these to remain a column. Or You know what we could do actually is put those buttons on top so it's easier to switch back and forth. Switch the channels. And then I want to the right of the name deck the Twitch chat like over here. Now the Twitch the name deck I think is gonna like change size, unfortunately, as I do this. That may or may not be annoying. It'll like resize itself, which is okay, I think. But maybe what actually might be easier or better is we just have it like if I do I'm not looking to do anything fancy here. How about we just stick it on the body after the section? So I'm not going to put it next to the video next to these things. I'm just going to try this. So let's make the body a flex. Right now it's display block. I'm going to make it a display flex, but justify content center. So that still does the thing. And then if I add like another section, document, create element, section, and add that, I think that's going to put it to the right. Yes, it does. And then if I edit this, and so I found this fragment where you can like embed chat in here. I was checking this out just before the stream. I put the name, wait, Twitch parent, I need to like, that's an example. I need to put the channel after embed, and that's, what is it? What's my channel name? Twitch, it's mikeconley.ca, all words. So I can put that here, and then the parent is mikeconley.ca. And then width and height are these like, I'm going to remove those hard-coded dimensions, and let's see what happens. So yeah, it loads the chat right there. And then what I can do is I can make this a flex. So it stretches. So this is what it would look like. And now let's see if something shows up there. Test message. Hey, there we go. Okay, so that's what I think I want to do. So what we're going to do then, whoops, I want to use the right editor. We need to update our CSS here. We're going to make the body, what were the changes? I don't know if you've seen this before, but you can do this thing where you like look at the changes that you've made. Oh, never mind. If you've made changes in the CSS in Inspector, they'll show up here, but I guess maybe because I closed the DevTools, they went away. But I know that I changed the body to be display flex and justify center, so I can do that here. I like to put display stuff at the top. Justify content center. Okay, and then we're going to create another section after this section. Let's update the nesting here because how do I there we go. I didn't get the indentation right on that guy. Oh, and I also have the wrong indentation because of body. Oh well. Oh well. A problem for another day. And then what was the actual HTML I put in here? It was like this, except I don't want to have flex equals 1. What I'm going to have is, say, for the Twitch chat embed, whoops, flex 1. Yeah, inline CSS, it's the bee's knees. So let's save that and reload this page and see what we get. Did we do it right? Hey, all right. So now for everyone who ever joins, if you're on this website, you can just reload the page, and now the Twitch chat's embedded in the page. So even if you're watching this, I'm curious to know what this would look like on Air Mozilla. That looks okay. Okay, it gets a little shrinky. I wonder if we should like have some default sizes scale, like default to having these inflate to the size of the largest one. But for now, I think this will do. And so this is going to flex a little bit. I mean, the other thing we could do is have this be a min height of whatever it is right now. That might be interesting. What's the current height? It's 533. So like if I set a minimum height of, wait, is it? No, it's 768. So let's say I set a minimum height of like 760 pixels on it, and then I change to Air Mozilla, YouTube, diode zone. That's not bad. It's not pretty, but I didn't make that website pretty. I haven't spent any time making it pretty. But there you go. That now we've got our Twitch chat. Although someone said, "Wow, that was cool," and it didn't show up in the. Someone say something. Someone say something in the chat. I want to see if it shows up here, if it's working. Because I saw "Wow, that was cool" show up, but maybe it's because I reloaded the page. Danny Coleman is typing. Hey, he says. Boom, there it is. All right, we're good. We're good. So we did it. That's done. Someone else said something. Thanks, Crushed Optimist. Hey, now if you're ever watching the stream and you're wondering what the heck people are talking about, if you're watching it live, now you can watch the chat. Very nice, says someone on Matrix. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Fireglow's nick doesn't show up properly in the Twitch chat. So that person's name is, it's the @ symbol. Yeah. It's choking on the @ symbol before your name. That's interesting. That might be a bug in the bridge. Okay, cool. Anyways, that's done. I wanted to quickly chat about Mastodon. I'm going to spend like 5 minutes talking about it. So if you are not familiar with Mastodon, this is something that I have recently started to use more and more. I created my account on Mastodon about a couple of years ago in like 2017, then didn't touch it for a while. If you're familiar with Twitter, it will feel a little bit like Twitter. If you're familiar with Twitter, Mastodon has some similarities, has some superficial similarities to Twitter, but effectively you can think of Mastodon as a place, as like an application, as opposed to like a web service like Twitter. It is an application that one deploys. There are instances of Mastodon rather than a monolithic single instance. What do I mean by that? So if you go to joinmastodon.org, what you're going to see is like, oh, hey, there's a social network. Instead of it being like, hey, why don't you create an account? It says find a server. And like that's I think is an initial sort of like strangeness for people who are just like, hey, maybe I want to try something other than Twitter. Find a server. What are you talking about? And I want to quickly describe what this means. So I'd say that while Mastodon has some superficial similarities to Twitter, the structure of it and how it's organized is closer to something like email, like telephone numbers, the telephone system, and or Matrix, if you're familiar with that. What do I mean by that? Well, if you probably have an email address. If you're watching this, you probably have an email address. And there's not, even though I know a lot of people use Gmail, not everyone uses Gmail. They can use something like Hotmail, or maybe their ISP provides them an email address, or they use Fastmail or ProtonMail, or like there are all these different things that provide email. And you can think of, the Mastodon is something that provides, it's an application that provides something in the same way that ISPs or Google provide email. And what does it provide? It provides something called ActivityPub. ActivityPub is I think it's a web. It's not a web standard. It's some kind of like what would you call it? ActivityPub. Is it a standard? What is it? It's a protocol there is a W3C recommendation from 2018 from all these people. It is a protocol. And what that means is, in the same way that Gmail provides email and also different features than, for example, Fastmail or Hotmail or your ISP's email, they all provide different features, but they can talk to each other. In this, as another example, if you're using your phone number provider, your cell provider, may offer you different features like, hey, call waiting or call display or voicemail or that sort of thing. And you can still communicate with someone on a different network. So let's contrast that with Twitter, where unless you do some like crazy hacks with the Twitter API, whenever you're chatting on Twitter, when you're sending messages on Twitter, it's all one monolithic system. People on Twitter talk to people on Twitter. That's how that works. And so that's what we would call like a silo, whereas ActivityPub is a protocol for communicating in the same sort of way as Twitter, but across these silos. So you can talk to different providers that speak ActivityPub. So I'm kind of I'm gesturing a lot. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to simplify this. It's Mastodon is to ActivityPub as Gmail is to email. That's a pretty close analogy, except that Mastodon is open source and you can host your own instance if you'd like. So that used to be kind of a popular thing to do. It's less popular these days. For if you were kind of nerdy, you could set up your own email server. You could run your own email server. And, back in the day, people did that. These days, I think most people rely on their ISPs or Gmail or Hotmail or whatever to host their email. It is still technically possible to host your own email. But it is technically difficult because of things like spam. And email didn't have in its design didn't have a lot of protections for things like spam, and so solutions for spam had to be tacked on, and so those solutions have made it a lot more difficult for you to run your own email server. It's not impossible, but you can do it. So fast forward to now, and people wanted to make it possible to have different applications talk to each other this way. This is called federation. Is whenever protocols allow individual instances to talk to one another. So the servers talk to one another. You sign into a particular server in the same way that you use Gmail. Gmail can talk to an email address at AOL.com. That's because email is a federated system. There is no... it is very difficult, for example, to shut down email. No one is in charge of email. It's an agreement. It's a protocol between different things that provide email services. In the same way that ActivityPub is a protocol, there is no real way of shutting down the ActivityPub server because there is no ActivityPub server. ActivityPub is a way that servers talk to one another. And so if this interests you at all, this kind of decentralization sort of situation, this old school federation interests you, you may be interested in things like Diaspora or PixelFed or what else? Pleroma, I think is what it's called. Pleroma? Fediverse, Federation, and the federated systems are colloquially known as the Fediverse, and the set of federated systems that talk to each other form a network that are colloquially known as the Fediverse. There are all these different things that speak different protocols. Diaspora, for example, I don't know if it speaks ActivityPub, but it speaks something. It certainly can communicate with other pods. PixelFed speaks ActivityPub. Pleroma speaks ActivityPub. Diode.zone, where I'm syndicating some of my streams, like my stream is Speaks Activity Pub. So it's possible for all of these things to communicate. So for example, I could be on a Mastodon, I could be using Mastodon and then follow my Diode.zone account and see whenever I publish videos to Diode.zone. That is possible. Or whenever I post photos to a PixelFed instance. So these are similar to Mastodon in that there are instances of PixelFed, there are instances of Pleroma, there are instances of Diaspora, there are instances of what's called PeerTube, Speaks Activity Pub, and the instance that I use is called Diode.zone. And so is what I use. And so if this at all interests you, you may be interested in signing up for something like Mastodon or PixelFed. And so that means looking at the servers that are available to you. If you want to just sign up for one, they're pretty busy. There's a lot of interest in these lately. And so some of them have a wait list, but there are a lot of servers and there's plenty that you can just join. And even though they all have different sort of interests, like there'll be regional ones or technology ones or LGBTQ plus ones or gaming ones, for the most part, they can talk to one another. Now, I put an asterisk on that. The person who controls the server, there's an admin of the server, gets to control which servers, which federated servers their instance that they're administrating can talk to. So for example, if there is an instance that tends to post things that are like illegal, then the administrator of a server can say, okay, I don't want my server talking to that one. And it will say, okay, I'm not accepting, you can't follow someone. We're not pulling in what are called toots in Mastodon, like updates from someone on this other server that's doing illegal stuff. And the other thing to keep in mind is that these individual servers, even though they all have different topics here, more or less can talk to one another. So for example, you can join a gaming one if you're interested, but still follow someone in the technology one or in a general one, presuming that the servers can talk to one another. And you can take a look and see. This one, I don't know what, this is in a different language. This is in German. Let's translate. Ooh, the UI needs some work here. You can see what is allowed on the server if you go to about, and you can see what servers they can talk to, the guidelines. And this is really important. When you join one of these things, it's a bit like signing up for an email account where the email server might have rules on what you can and cannot do. And so they might tell you, hey, you can't, no posting lewd photos here, or definitely don't be a Nazi, or, they'll have different rules. And so when you join one of these, if you consider it, look at the rules and make sure that you agree with them, or else you could get booted. Think of it as like a neighborhood. You want to make sure that you're following the rules of the neighborhood, and who you're allowed to connect with across the services. And if you don't agree with the rules, you can find a different server that is more in tune with what you want to do. And if you can't find one, consider starting one. You can create one. There's one called there's this place called masto.host. I've never used this before, but I know at least one person who does, where you could become an administrator of a Mastodon instance, and then you could have people. And if you can't find one, consider starting one. You can create one. There's one called There's this place called Masto. I don't know why that started playing audio in the background there. That's kind of freaky. But you could create your own instance, and then be in charge. You'd be the administrator. You get to choose. So that's my pitch for Mastodon. I am on Mastodon. I'm currently using. I'm currently at, where's my, I'm using mastodon.social, which I might move away from because this is the really big one and it's really busy. And that means that the single service is getting absolutely pounded with traffic, especially with all the recent interest. And there are advantages to Mastodon.social in that it's administrated by the person who's the primary project maintainer of Mastodon. And so there is that advantage. But at the same time, it also means that this person, this poor Mastodon maintainer, is just their traffic is just overwhelming them. And so I might move to a different one. And moving between instances is actually quite straightforward. You can migrate from instance to instance. That whole set, it doesn't lock you in, which is pretty nice. And yes, Fireglow mentions that WordPress has an activity pub plugin. So in theory, you could just have your blog, your WordPress blog, send out activity pub updates, and then other people in the Fediverse can follow you. Now you can't really. I don't think you can use WordPress as like a viewer of other activity pub updates from other people. But you could, for example, create a PeerTube, or sorry, like a Mastodon, join a Mastodon instance and then follow your blog and tell people, hey, follow my blog over here. Or you could, and then, use that to follow other people. I don't know if I've explained that very well, but that's what I want to get across. Is that Mastodon exists. People are pretty excited about it lately. We'll see if it holds up. Okay, what's the next thing I wanted to do? I wanted to rebase and land a reviewed patch. So let's do that. The patch I wanted to rebase and review that was reviewed is one related to some work that was done recently on the Unified Extensions toolbar panel. I'm doing this off screen because I'm opening up my dashboard, and I want to make sure there are no security bugs in there. Okay. So this is the one that just got reviewed, and I want to land this. And what this is for is you can... I don't know if people are on the latest nightly, but one of the things that we're working on is making it so that whenever things overflow in your nav bar here, traditionally your add-ons have gone... Any add-on buttons have gone into this overflow panel. And what we're doing is we're going to make it so that they always overflow into this extensions button instead. And in Nightly, that's what's happening. And it's not very pretty right now. That the patch to fix that is coming soon. It's being worked on. But that's where they're going to overflow in the future instead. And so the defaults will go here. Now, obviously, I've got some other extensions. These are pinned to my overflow panel. That's a separate piece of work to have those show up here instead. We're going to have to migrate them over. And the reason for that is, there's a number of reasons for that, but mainly we want this button to be where you manage your add-ons and where your add-on buttons can reliably be found. And I talked a little bit about that last week. One of the primary reasons for that is with Manifest v3 coming, we need to make it very easy for you to access the permissions toggles and the permissions controls for your add-ons so that you can granted access to sites, because Manifest v3, I think they will ask you for access on a site by on a site-by-site basis. So I don't believe Manifest v3 add-ons can, for example, get a blanket website access permission. They're going to ask on a site-by-site basis. Now, if you're concerned at all about I don't want to access my buttons from in here. I want to keep them in my toolbar. If they're in your toolbar, they should stay in your toolbar. They'll stay in your nav bar. They'll stay in, if you've got them up here, in your tabs strip, or if you've got the menu bar and they're up there, they'll stay in there. If you've got them in your bookmarks toolbar, they'll stay there. It's only the ones that have been put into your overflow panel that we're going to move into here. That's the plan. So ideally, when all this is done, it's the rule will be only built-in buttons can go in here, and any overflowed web extension buttons will go in here. And you can pin things to this panel. That's the change. Please don't freak out. Let's see. This patch is to fix an issue where the overflow panel would sometimes show even if there was nothing in it. And I'm going to try and reproduce that issue right now. To show you what is being fixed, and then we're going to try and rebase the patch, this fix patch, because it needs a rebase, and then we're going to try and land it. Smurfy is now freaking out. Oh no, he's freaking out. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the way you reproduce this bug. Check this out. Notice how the downloads button and the Firefox account button is hidden by default. That is intentional. Like the downloads button doesn't show up until you have a download, or unless you like, tweak it so that it's always showing. Which, if you look at my toolbar, I do have. Like I've configured it to always be there, but by default it doesn't appear until you have a download. So it's one of these hidden buttons. Now check what happens if we move some web extension buttons on either side of these two hidden buttons. And then I cause these to overflow. Now check this out. We've got ourselves an empty panel here. That's because only the hidden buttons got moved in here. And so they're hidden. They're collapsed. And our overflow code, for the most part, wouldn't have been triggered, except that it got, with the fact that we're moving overflowed things into the extensions panel, the things between the two, the things that were overflowed, got moved into this panel, and we wouldn't have done that before. We would never have done that. Or if we had, then this, like in prior times, like the web extensions would have gone in this panel, so it would have shown things. But because they've all been redirected over here, this only contains empty stuff. And we want to capture that case and not show this button if this thing is empty. So the patch that I wrote, the way it works is it checks the dimensions of the things that are being overflowed, and if it doesn't have any dimensions, then we do not put the toolbar in the overflowing state, and the overflowing state is what shows this button. So that, and then I wrote a test for it. So that is the fix. It got reviewed, but I need to rebase the patch, and let's get it landed. So here's what we're gonna do. I think it's gonna conflict with this patch, which has been put on Autoland. So let's move it. It's this one. Yep. Not only do we need to rebase it, we actually need to update it, because this prior patch added some capabilities that this patch can use now. So we need to update it, and then we'll run the tests, and if the tests pass, then we'll auto land. Let's see if the other one has actually gone into the tree yet. Is the tree open? No. Waiting for coverage. So waiting for stuff to land. But for now, we can just base it on my local copy. So this patch here is on queued for Autoland, added some capabilities that this rebased patch can use now. So we're going to rebase it. Now that we've rebased it, we're going to update it quickly. And the reason, these used to be in different order, and then this one got reviewed first, so I changed the order so we can land this because it was blocking some other stuff. And then this thing, which used to be a dependency, can now be updated to use the stuff in here, because before, because the order was reversed, it didn't use them before. I hope that wasn't confusing. Basically, I inverted the dependency, and that means that this one can now remove some sort of workaround code that got added. So let's look at this patch. The workaround code that I think I actually make it pretty explicit. I think I say, hey, remove this after such and such lands. Right. So that's hang on. What test was that? Hidden widget overflow. Remove this after bug such and such lands, and just set web extension true and creating the extension widgets. That's right. So we can remove this. And then we're going to say web extension true here and here. And if we look at the old the old dependency, we can actually see what it used to be doing. If we look at a prior diff, It was just doing exactly what I did. And that's what we need to have done. We've done that. So let's build. I think that was the only thing it changed about it that we need to care about. The rest of this, it should have merged just fine. Okay, so let's try and recreate that bug. So what we did was we did this, and then we went back one. Yeah, it doesn't show up. Oh! What the? What's going on here? What's going on here? There's still an issue. There's still an issue, gang. We need to figure this out. Here. What's going on here? So we're gonna keep the panel open. How did that happen? We overflowed Pocket and we underflowed Pocket. When we underflow, we need to do the exact same fix. That's what it is. Hidden area. We might require a tweak to this patch. So what we were doing was in the event of overflow. Now we need to do the same thing with underflow. So let's see here. Move items back to their origin. We do this thing where we'll like remove the overflowing. If everything is a special widget, everything in there is a special widget, or has no dimensions. What did we do here before? We did get bounds without flushing. List items, map ID. If return true, let child rect. We'll get bounds without flushing. What do we want to do here? Do we have a window? When, yeah, when window utils get bounds without flushing, document get element by ID W. And we'll call that ID instead of return child rect width and child rect dot height or. So that basically we're saying if you have either no width or no height, is that what was the logic? If width and height If you have neither of those things, then return true. And so if everything that's inside of the collapsed, the default list is either a special widget or it has no width or height, then we will remove the overflowing attribute. All right. So we might need a re-review here. Okay. Oh, document's not defined. Whoopsie daisy. When, what do we use? Win.document probably. Child. I don't know if that's true anymore. Okay, let's try that. Okay. So that's the window, nice and big. Okay, shrinky, shrinky, shrinky. Huh. Now why is that? Why did the pocket button disappear? There's a frame where it disappears. Let's find out why. The overflow target widget overflow lists document. It's because the button is hidden. Probably save to pocket button. What are your dimensions? You have no dimensions when you're hidden. When you're collapsed like that. Oh, wait a second. Stashed. Get bounds without flushing. What we could do instead, we have this overflow info that we capture whenever at the point of overflow. So we set get bounds that flying child rec, set target content width. What are we gonna do here? What's the difference between What's the difference between the FXA button and the Save to Pocket button? Is that this one, does it have like a special... Like, why is it hidden? What makes it hidden? What's so special about it? Here. It's hidden because display none, because not configured. When not configured, we make it display none. Downloads button. Is hidden equals true. And that's why that one's hidden. This one's hidden for CSS reasons. Do we have get style without fleshing get? Say sync is because we get the overflow info. Those, I think, are the only special ones that sort of like hide themselves by default. And that's that. If we could make sure that the FXA one was using the hidden equals true thing, that would be best, rather than this rule. I wonder if this is where I want to do this. Update state, update sync button toolkit, tooltip, update state, update panel pop-up, sync button, update panel pop-up, update state. Panel pop-up. Box. That's shown. Oh man. Menu ID and then box ID. Get view node document box ID. This is updating menu items. sync button, tooltip. Sync now button. Is there anything in here that touches the FXA toolbar button? Toggle account panel. I think we might, here's what we could do. So here, instead of using child height and width, and we could say, and child.hidden, not child hidden, and then we get rid of child rect up here. We don't need that anymore. And then here we could use if return is special widget or let child equal that, return child if it's hidden. Every ID is a special widget. I mean, we can assume, because like what we're doing is we're iterating things that were gotten from this children's list. So return child hidden. And then browser sync. What we'll do is update sync buttons tooltip, update FXA button. Let button. It looks like the convention here is const button equals document get element. We'll use, could it be hidden? Yeah, okay. Document. And then what was it? FXA toolbar menu button. Oh, well, no, it looks like it's, we can assume it's in the document. Okay. To document get element by ID. Now, if the button has been customized out, we won't find it. So what are the rules? We're saying if the FXA status is not configured, if button, if button.hidden equals state or not configured, status equals not configured. Okay. And then we'll put a comma there. And then we'll remove these rules. Panel UI shared. let's now see if that does the job. Forward. Forward march, gang. Oh, whoops. It's already running. There we go. Okay. Squeeze. Oh, no, it's... Oh, fire. Oh, you should be hidden. That's not right. Hidden. False. Browser sync. What is the object that's exposed here? A browser sync. It's called gsync. Gsync. Update FXA button. UI. Was it UI state? What's the UI state? UI state. State. No. UI state. What? Okay. UI state.get. It's one of these. State not configured. So therefore gsync update FXA button. Will this hide the button? Yes, it does. So why isn't it running? Update all UI. Maybe update if UI state is ready. This is a pain. If state.status is not equal to status not configured, update all UI. Gsync. How does this thing initialize? There's an initialize thing. We define pref getters. On FXA disabled. We get rid of all sync UI items. We say it's hidden, and then we return. Ooh. I don't know if that would match this. And then do we maybe update UI state? If we're ready, then we do this. That's presuming if we are not configured, the UI is already in the right state when we open the window, so we can avoid a repaint. That's why it's not happening. That was added. Avoid repaint. Who added you? Maybe what we do then is we default the button to be hidden. And then once UI, like we've figured out that the button should be shown, then we show it. So where is this button defined? An error occurred. Please try again. Okay, where is this thing defined? It's defined programmatically. here in Navigator Toolbox. I think, what if we make this hidden by default, like the Downloads button? So this is Navigator Toolbox. Reload. I think I have to actually rebuild, because when I change markup that's pre-processed like this document, I have to rebuild. Okay. So the button's not there. I don't see it. Shrink the window. Okay. That looks right. Now, if I do set up sync, what's my, I've got like a test account. Let me get that information. This is probably gonna ask me to verify an email. Yes. Okay, hold on. I got it. Two-factor auth. My test account. Yes, that's me. Just to get the number. Hold on. Sorry, gang. Let me just paste this in. Authorization code. All right. So now I'm signed in. So the button appears. Now let's reload the document. Yeah, I think that's the right behavior. The button is hidden by default, and then it appears. In fact, we can verify that by shelving our changes and testing again with the same profile. Cool bug, eh? Cool bug, eh, gang? All right, we're going to create a... I thought this was going to be a rebase and a land, but I have to create a new patch and modify this one, so I'm glad we tested it. Build faster. So there's going to be a new dependency, which is like, okay, let's update the sync button's behavior so it's hidden using an attribute rather than CSS, because then we can detect it programmatically without having to flush styles by reading it out of the DOM rather than having to ask the style system whether or not a thing is display none. So I would expect the button to be hidden by default for a frame, and then it's shown up once we log in. So it's like, oh, no, it's there. Reload. Interesting. What is the default UI state? So starts hidden. and does that. And what I'm changing it to do well, why can't the CSS? So we must not be in the, we must be in a different state. There's no reason why I can't do this using the attribute. I have to know what state we're in though. And then it shows up after we log in. Okay, that's no good. I need to figure out what the state is initially. How do I do that? How do I do that? So there's the not configured state. Configured. What is the, that is the default state. There's no state for initialized false. Then we're in the default state, which is not configured. So hold on then, what? When this thing fires up, the FXA status on the root document, that's when we set it, when we update the FXA panel. That's the app menu, the get attribute, FXA status, append, main window. The app menu, I just care about the main window here. So when we call update FXA panel, we must set the FXA status to be not configured. Does something call this ahead of time? FXA panel. Serve. Okay, what is the default value of FXA status on the document? Not set. So the button is shown. And then the button is hidden, but we do it before. What in the world? How do we do that before we show a frame? Have we always been showing a frame? I'm gonna have to sign out of sync again. Gotta figure out how this has been working. The question is, no. I thought I shelved. Shelve. So we're gonna put all that stuff back. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I want to get this wrapped up before the end of the episode if I can. This should not take this long. I have other work to do that is more important. So I'm going to spend the rest of this episode looking at this, and we might just have to eat the glitch, or at least fix it down the road, as opposed to now. That is an option, is to eat, just accept the bug for a little bit until we can dedicate some time to it. Do higher priority things. So the button is shown and then it populates. So let's now sign out. The button disappears. Okay. Let's now load. It's shown for like a single frame. I don't know if you saw that. It's like a single frame. It's there and then it's gone. And then it's real fast. Let's see if we can log when that FXA status is set. Here. Setting FXA status. And then let's add like an artificial delay of 2 seconds. So I would expect the button to appear and then 2 seconds later to disappear. That's what I expect. No, it's not there. What in the world? So something else? Did something else set that FXA status on the window? FXA toolbar menu. What's FXA toolbar menu? Is that what we're talking about here? Update FXA toolbar menu. And get, if you know, document panel UI FXA. Are we talking about this thing? FXA panel element. Oh, here. No, okay. Where are you? It's just in some template somewhere. Okay. So how come the button is not visible? Because presumably FXA status is not configured. Now, do we persist that somehow? Persist. No. Let's open a new window. What else could set that FXA status? Set attribute on the main window. That's like the only place where we set it. Okay, diagnostics, browser.js. Oh, here we go. Update FXA toolbar menu inside of browser.js. And that happens when the DOM content is loaded. Okay, this is where it's happening. Set attribute in the main window, signed in or not configured, and that's what updates the status guess. To minimize the toolbar button flickering or appearing during startup, we use this pref to anticipate the likely FXA status. I see. If we think you are configured, then we'll say we're signed in. And then maybe what we'll do is we'll get the button here. FXA button L equal document get element by ID. What's it called? Browser sync. Here, we can get rid of that now. Update FXA button. Oh, yeah, hold on a second, hold on. Before I do, shut down. Okay, unshelf. And then over here, revert this file. And then we are going to get the button. Inside of browser.js, we'll say const FXA button toolbar menu. I should probably rename that to toolbar items. And then we'll say, okay, if there is a toolbar button, then the state status equals status guess. We'll say status guess if true, then signed in, so not status guess. Okay. I think that'll do it. Let's see. I'll get rid of our flick. So what we'll have done is we get rid of our startup flicker, and then we have a reliable behavior for the overflow panel. That's the hope. So let's start. We shouldn't see the button. Default to hidden. No button. Okay, now let's sign in. Hang on. Sign in. Button shows up. Okay, now restart. Button's there. Sign in. Let's do it again. Restart. Button's there. Sign in. All right. And now reliable overflow behavior. Let's sign out again. Hidden. All right, I think we got it, gang. I think we got it. Got him. All right, so I'm going to create some patches for this in the next 7 minutes. Let's see if we can do that. Hey, Masterways. Good to see ya. Okay, so there are two parts to this. There's the update to the sync stuff, and then there's the general fix to the overflow. And one is a dependency of the other. So we're going to do the following. We are going to separate out the changes in here to these two files, hidden widget overflow and customizable UI. We're going to put them into this patch that's currently on the tree. So like hg amend, we're going to say browser components customizable UI.jsm and this file. We're going to amend the commit with those. We should have these leftover sync things that we're going to create a new commit for. Lint. All right, let's go. Linting is linting. All right, now we do this stuff. So we're going to go back a commit because we want this to be a dependency. So I'm going to go back. The last thing I want to do here, actually, before I forget, is I want to update the name of this to be update FXA toolbar items. FXA toolbar menu. What is this thing? FXA toolbar menu. It's this thing. Toolbar menu button. And I don't think we use that attribute anywhere else. Toolbar menu button. And then the main window FXA status, do we use that as well? FXA status. I think we read it out. I think we do need that. I think we do need that. I seem to recall it's being read out in a couple of different places. Toolbar menu button. Hide the button. The button is hidden by default. Use the guess to determine whether it should stay hidden or be visible. And then I think we can get rid of this. Enable update FXA toolbar menu button. Toolbar menu is called by identity FXA counts toolbar enabled. I think, you know what we should do? Overflowed. Group wrapper for window area type instances. See, what I'm worried about is if the button has been customized out, it's not in the document. Maybe that's okay. Do it that way. Instead of status guess, signed in. Oh, then in this, so we have layers here. We should keep this attribute just in case sync is disabled. Whether stay hidden or be visible. This will be overridden. Whichever we guess, whichever way we go. The FXA toolbar menu attribute will hide the button even if we guess that we're signed in. If we somehow guess. That way, if so what case do I worry about here? When it's hidden, can you customize it? Uh-oh. That's another case. Oh, gang. Oh, boy. What did we do with Navigator, Toolbox? What does the downloads button do? Hidden. It's true. Do we show it? we don't. Shoot. Oh man, we gotta show it. Now, how come this thing's shown? How come the downloads button is shown? We must have like a special rule that's shown it. It's removed the hidden attribute so that whenever I'm done, hidden is reapplied. So how does that work? Promise widget. If node is download, node hidden. Show downloads auto hide panel. Causes it to be made visible? Is it in downloads.js? Hidden? This case state is panel hidden. Pop-up hidden. Panel is invisible. Downloads. Indicator. Let's start customize this. We need to unhide it. So what? Unhide. On customize start. Causes the customize mode. Hang on. Let's bring the hidden. But it's also, we've got no FXA toolbar menu, so it gets removed. And now what makes it appear if we enter customize mode? Doesn't appear. Hang on. Hang about. Shelve again. All right, I'm gonna end this stream in a minute or two. Yeah, never easy. So many configurations to keep track of. Oh, yeah, that's a problem. I'll fix that later. Why is the button appearing in customize mode? That's the question. What makes it appear? So it's hidden. Um, oh, because we changed the relationship. Oh, it no longer matches the rule. Okay, that's why. Customize start. Add listener. Check for auto hide. Browser sync. Okay, so we could do it this way. Is this more trouble than it's worth? I don't know. Is there an uninit? Yeah, okay. What was it called? Customize start? On customize start. Fire the window. If win equals window. Yeah, for some reason we do need to do that. If win equals window. Button. Update FXA. F button button dot hidden equals false, and then uncustomize end. We will call this dot update FXA button. So that's one way of solving this particular problem. And then I really am going to end the stream if this works. Okay, it's hidden. Now I enter customize mode. Why aren't you shown? Wrapper, FXA, tour menu button. Hidden. Oh, did I needed to build, gang. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is the one. Still not there. Why not? Because not FXA toolbar menu. Oh, because I didn't pass the state. But let's pretend it's hidden equals false. It's still not shown because FXA toolbar menu is display none. That's the case because I think I renamed this thing and I didn't update the callers. Yeah, that's why. And so I was throwing an exception probably somewhere. All right. For real, for real. Why was no exception being thrown? I guess we pretty aggressively try to recover from exceptions being thrown during startup to not break the UI. It'd be nice if it had reported something, but what are you gonna do? Okay. There it is. There you are. Hidden again. Okay. Password. There you are. Restart. There you are. Customize. Restart. Customize. Where are you? Ah, there's a bug. If you've been customized out, you're hidden by default. Oh, I hate this. Where's the FXA one? It's probably in here, right? Wrapper sync button. Nope. Wrapper customize spring. Where's the FXA button? Is it just gone? See, that's a problem. Where did you go? If you're removed, you didn't go into the, you're not on the palette. Customization target. You're probably in the G palette. G nav toolbox G palette. Dot palette. You should be in here. It's just disappeared. See, okay, that's a big problem. And then it's just like not showing up. Where are you? FXA, there you are. You're there now. But you're hidden. All right, I'm worried about this entire patch now. Too many states, too many bugs. We might have to accept the glitch. Something there. You don't know what size it is whenever it goes in there. You know what size it was when it went in, though. Maybe we could store that. We know it was of size 0. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to deal with this later. Sorry you had to sit and watch me just sort of brain fart there. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Joy of Coding. I'm worried about this patch now. I think I'm going to have to rethink it a little bit. Too many bugs, too many. It feels like whack-a-mole, and that's never a good sign. It feels brittle, like it will introduce more bugs than it'll fix. Net loss. Anyhow, that's reality. Thanks so much for watching episode 305 of The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. I didn't get to this part. I didn't get to any of this. We were stuck here this whole time, but I did talk about Mastodon, and we put the chat on the website, so that's exciting. Maybe next week we'll work on the Windows jump list stuff and see where we get to. Thanks again for watching episode 305. I hope that was interesting. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Hang on. Let me switch to Wacky Morning DJ. Bye-bye. Whoa, nope.
The joy of coding.
See ya.